need to add some music. Come on, y'all. Come on in. Hello. Uh-oh. Hello. Hey, y'all. Can you hear me? Go ahead and hit the thumbs up if you can hear me. We're going to talk about the documentary that I just finished watching a couple of days ago. I'm gonna start in a few minutes until more people come on, and then I will start the live. So whoever the one person is that's watching, please like, comment, and subscribe. Would be much appreciated. You're just gonna brush your hair and you're gonna be the boy. Okay? Come on. You're gonna be fine. Get your belly area. I'm gonna turn you around. Look, see? It's not too bad. Good boy. Come on, Jason, let's go. I'll sit. Let's go. Let's go. You're just gonna brush your hair and you're gonna be the boy. Black men from the U.S. dating in other countries, how you're treated in other countries and stuff like that. This is something that I've known.
One coworker won a 2-minute shopping spree at our store. First, sunscreen, face dust, hats, and baskets.
All right, y'all. I think y'all gonna be coming in here kind of slow. But anyway, as you can see from the thumbnail, I finally changed up. I'm gonna get improved on my skills on doing videos and possibly learning how to edit. Not on live stream, but I know, of course, when I start taping more videos, which I'm gonna start doing. So as you can see, let's talk about it, and we're gonna talk about the documentary of Bill Cosby. Now, this was on Showtime, and it's on YouTube, and it's free. It's a 4-part series that basically goes over the life of Bill Cosby. It goes back from his beginning years when he first started out, and it speaks about his different accomplishments and shows, commercials, businesses that he's involved with. And then it leads up to the latest situations that's been occurring for the last 5, 6 years with him being in prison. And man, I don't want to give a spoiler alert about it because if you've ever been following the case of Bill Cosby, even if you haven't seen the trials or kept up with the story and everything, boy, let me tell you, it is so interesting. And the rape culture, and it also kind of ties in the culture of the rape culture here in the United States, the victimization of those who, that experience such an ordeal. And I know that a lot of people, when this, when it broke out about Bill Cosby, and not only did it focus on any recent, when I say recent, I'm speaking about the last few years that this issue of his charges came up, but it is amazing how it's been happening for decades throughout his life. And the victims who were affected by his actions. Now, there were some famous women, well known women, who were victims of his crime. Beverly Johnson, the model, even, what's her name? Um, Let me see. Hold on a second. They weren't just regular, ordinary white women. There were also black women that was affected too. But it was at least over 100 victims, because the ones that they showed in the documentary, they came forward and spoke. But there were a lot of people who, a lot of women throughout his entire career that he drugged. And the thing about it, it was his own admission that really got him. Closed case dispositions in cases up there in Pennsylvania. But when you watch the documentary, it kind of came and got exposed by another comedian in Philly. When the time Bill Cosby, known as the American Dad, he was one of those comics. He didn't use profanity. His rise and stardom, it showed his beginning years when when he was a student at Temple, and how he rose up to his stardom. And it's just amazing how this became like one of the biggest stories that broke out about it. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, what about Weinstein? They didn't do anything to him. Everybody always want to lump other people in other cases together. Oh, they just want to go because, I heard the most stupidest things I've heard through the years when I first heard about this Bill Cosby. Oh, he just wanted to buy NBC, and because he wanted to buy NBC, they trumped up these charges against him, and all kind of ridiculous things. And people want to compare some other people. Well, they didn't do anything to Weinstein. He been, don't, when you go in a court of rules or court of law, you can't be worrying about what they didn't do with someone else and lump it in. Just like the issue with R. Kelly. No, they just, it's like people don't realize how stupid some of the things that I've heard. And the thing that's so funny about it is that it was a black man who made the documentary, you know, and it was, and if you, I don't want to go over the documentary and tell it. It's something you have to see for yourself. It is on YouTube, and let's talk about Bill Cosby. It's on there. You can watch. It's a 4-part series, and it is very good. It is very good, and it really tells the story and discusses his entire life and people are just speaking of him. So the thing about it is that it addresses this culture here in the United States. How women, particularly women, are victimized and how they're afraid to come forward to report it. So people always ask, well, why did you say nothing? Why did no one say anything? You just come and bring it up now. Maybe they deserve it. All kinds of things. And it doesn't make it right. So let me look at some things. Let me look at some other. Now I'm cooking right now. And none of you already coming on in here. Where y'all at? That's pretty strange. I tip my Now, because the fact that we need to talk about Bill Cosby series is a free, it was on Showtime, but it's all the episodes are on YouTube. It's 4 parts, so you could go ahead and um, watch all four episodes of it, and it speaks of his life, his his entire career, and just a whole bunch of things. It's just interesting. And I'm watching some other YouTube videos and see. So let me look on here. There's people who.
First of all, you did not prove that he's a rapist. You did not prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And then number two, this man is not the only famous guy out here that accuses some horrible stuff.
See?
And then three, the fucking man is 88 years old. Leave him the fuck alone.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Just because. So, see, this is what I think. This was makes me so mad. Just because the man is 88 years old, 8 years old, 100 years old, that's not the point. People say, leave that man alone. He's 88 years old. He didn't start raping women that are old. He wasn't no old man, 80, 70 years old, started doing this. He's been doing this his entire 50 something years careers. And the fact of the matter is this. They always say, well, why did you go after this person? Why did you go after that person? You know, when you're in court of law, everybody's not, all 5, 10 people are not lined up at once in trial. It is separate. And I just hate when people come on YouTube, particularly men, black men, like this fool right here. Let me see, y'all can see it. This fool right here. I'm not even going to give you, I don't even watch the channel. This was one of the shorts. And you're coming on here, making it about, make you want to curse. Really? If anybody who need to curse are the victims, and those are the ones who need to curse. His wife, not, well, I need to curse because he leave that man alone. You ain't prove. The purpose of this documentary is not to prove his innocence, because if you watch the end, everyone, if you followed this trial, you all knew that there were some technicalities with the state, that's how he got let go. That's how he got released out of prison. But that doesn't mean he was innocent. But at the same time, why are people like this fool on the video that I just saw a second ago saying about leave Bill, hey, leave him alone. He innocent. It's amazing how people are so caught up and confused about what someone else didn't. What it is that they felt that, oh, the black man, they've been victimized and they've been criminalized. No, what one person do in terms of what happens in this country does not dismiss the fact that by his own admission, this is how stupid people get. The only reason why he went on the court and went for it, he was the one out of his own words and disposition incriminated himself. Nobody else. He he put himself in that position. Just because you 80 something years old, and just because you think that you got money, and you think that you could just, because this been brought up before he even went to court. They settled at least 3 of those cases. Now I'm gonna let y'all, if y'all interested in watching the full documentary, don't look at it as terms of proof. It's not about proof. The documentary has been made to come forward to people and victims that had they were people who in his own camp that knew about it, that may have suspected about the situation. I'm fucking sick and tired, especially black men in particular, that always want to say, "Oh, yeah, what about he?" Not even black men, black people in general. You always want to think about, well, what about Weinstein? What about this person? Just like with R. Kelly. The first time when you first went to court and they let that go, and they said there was no evidence or whatever the case may be, then he continues on with his actions. You continue on, and Bill, trust me, years ago, Bill Cosby was um was able to move on and just get it, but he kept on going. When they showed the timeline, if you watch this video and you watch the timeline and you watch from it went back from like the late 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. Come on now. The number of women who had testified and went forward, they all said the same thing. Beverly Johnson, she's one of the top blocks. See, she was a victim, and she was like, and the way how he conjured her, he says, and she said, "You motherfucker." When and then Janice, the other one, y'all know who I'm talking about. When y'all watch it, you see. Now these are 2 women in Hollywood. They're famous. What about all the other women? They don't know. None of these women know each other from nothing. They don't know each other. How everyone gonna say? He even said that he told jokes when he was on Larry King live, telling them how they did it. You see, what you do is you get a keloid or injury or whatever. Come on. And y'all people who wants to you turn around and you want to defend the actions. Give me a break. Give me a break. All of those people, I don't care if they were white, black, whatever, they all coming down after these people. Mac Lauer, who was on NBC on the Today Show, you see what happened to him? Fired. You see what happened to Travis Smiley? He had his TV show, and he was up there, had sexual harassment against women. Fired from PBS. Who else? There's a whole, everybody always thinks somebody want to be victimized, and they just want to criminalize. They want to criminalize victims, but then they think they allow people to get away with this. What are people gonna say now? R. Kelly. Oh, there's no way he did it. He couldn't do it. He didn't do it. Those parents should be convicted too. Y'all people are so fucking dumb. the parents should be arrested and go to jail too. You know, some of your people, y'all don't have a big a lick of common sense about knowing any aspect of the law. I'm not a lawyer, but goddamn. But then people expect, people to march on behalf. No, I'm not going to be one to do it. I'm not going to be quick to come up with the conclusions and trying to turn around and tie everything into damn. Well, because of slavery, that's we let go. People think they should dismiss the crimes of what other people do, particularly men, and let them get away with it and trying to tie it in with other people and talking about, they've been beaten and racism and this and that or what. Man, please, when are we going to get off that? Get off that. Get off it. That has nothing to do with it. I guess maybe some of y'all who sit up here and believe um, these people, Bill Cosby and all the other people, and believe them. Maybe if you were victimized, if the situation was reversed, maybe then you would understand. And so, you know, black man made this documentary and told the story and did it and it was done very well. But it had nothing to do. He wasn't making he ain't proved nothing. If you come around driving around there making some stupid comment like that, you already made it in your stupid mind about it. And here they come this fool who got 160K views. Nigga, bye. Please. And whether or not and Camus Bell, that's who the director made it. This man right here, if you could see, oops, I don't know if you can see. See right there? He made the documentary. And I was glad that it was shown on Showtime. I'm glad it was on YouTube for free for people to watch it. And there were several men that were also on that documentary that spoke as well. Actors, people in Hollywood, men made comments about it. They came forward. It was disgusting. It was despicable on what he did. I don't give a fuck about, he's 80 years old and he'll be left alone. He should be left alone. Like age got anything to do with it. But you know what? You would figure, like I said, back in the early 2000s when they had those cases settled and he did what he did and he admitted it to his own words, the case was sealed for years. And I'm glad that comedian that came on his stage when Bill Cosby went on this rant about black people, about how men need to pull up their pants, they need to be well educated, they need to know how to speak, they don't have to, shaming single mothers, shaming black people. It's amazing the way he spoke when he went on that little tangent. I'm not gonna say tangent. When he took that position and how he spoke about the black community, about black communities in general, everybody forget about that. When he took that position in terms of that black people need to pull up on their bootstraps and need to stop all that shenanigans of welfare and the ghetto mentality, knowing how to speak. Men need to start knowing how to conduct themselves, start walking around with their pants dragging. And basically, I'm gonna summarize it in one big nutshell. Basically, said they nothing but a bunch of stupid niggas. Bill Cosby went from being, when he first came out, if you look at his first early career, he didn't curse. He had got a lot of popularity within the white audience. He wasn't one of these civil rights, you know, walking with Dr. King and saying Black Lives Matter, Black Peace, and this Black, this, and that. He wasn't like that. He stayed and was very clean with his comedy. Very, very clean with his comedy. He catered to white folks when he first started out. As his career progressed, and he focused like on education. So his that documentary has nothing to do with it ain't he proved nothing. It wasn't about proving about the rape. It was about his life. The majority of that documentary was about his life, his career, his family. They even and it brought me some joy when I was watching when he first, when I was growing up, I grew up watching Bill Cosby show. He had, with Fat Albert, when he used to be on the electric company, and they used to have those educational um, shows like it was, I mean, Schoolhouse Rock and all that, on PBS, and Captain Kangaroo, and he was, had a segment on that. I mean, it brought back some. I was like, boy, I remember that. I remember that show. They taught you educational how to speak, grammar, English, and they did it in a way to teach kids. Now he's not a PhD. They also spoke about Doctor Bill Cosby. He's not. It's questions about his doctorate. He did with the University of Mass and for the education, but it's kind of like a step down from a PhD. But most of the documentaries spoke about his life. The shows he was made, the you know his family. Even spoke when his son Ennis got murdered. Um, it mentions about that. On his old TV shows. I Spy and those 70 shows and some of the actors he worked with. But a lot of times it didn't really direct it towards him about his being guilty. It just basically made up a video about the documentary of his career, his life, the 50 something years um, professionalism in on TV, movies, commercials, businesses. And to be honest, at the end, when they did announce he was guilty and then he went to prison, it was what was it? Maybe a year? Not even a year. Some people who were even victims, they were saddened by it. It was a sad moment for the culture because Bill Cosby, throughout all his years, despite if you look at the positive things he done, he did quite a lot. But unfortunately, there was a dark side that he even said, "I fooled everybody." Despite of all the philanthropy, the donations, the positive aspects in the community, you can't take away from that. But we do have to, but one has to address what he's done. You know, just like R. Kelly. A great career, great, you know, composer, songwriter, but he had something in him that affected his life to do what he did. No, I don't know. He was narcissist or whatever, but we don't know. That's one thing they didn't discuss. They didn't discuss what was it in his background that will cause him to have to drug women to have sex with them. He could have had sex with any woman without having to do that. There's no crime for fidelity or cheating on your wife. But it is a crime that you actually, in your own words, before anyone ever spoke about it, that you admit that you did that, drug women and did that. You should have seen 60 something women came forward, and those are the ones who came forward. And in all that lifespan of when it happened, from the 60s, late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, all the way up until when he was doing the Cosby Show. Even then, they said that when he was on the Cosby Show, they was like wondering why did he want someone to be in his dressing room, and he had like an assistant or whatever, and how he told of accounts and stories of things that seemed kind of strange. You know, come on. So don't be one of these foolish people on YouTube. Leave him alone. He's innocent. Speak. I mean, God dang. Bill Cosby's own admission caused him to go to prison. But the only reason why he got off is because of technicality, legal, not because they said, "Oh, he innocent." These women, all these 60 something women, they lying. They all said the same thing, but they lying. These so many women, they weren't even in the spotlight of Hollywood. So these were not no Hollywood people. These were regular, ordinary women that they ain't had nothing to do with Hollywood. They ain't had nothing to do. They ain't worked on none of his shows. They ain't worked on none of his albums. They ain't did nothing. And you want to shame, victim shame? Say, well, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. I hope some of your men who thinks this way, particularly black men, that if you have daughters, that you're gonna sit up in here and believe such foolishness. Or better yet, let something happen to you being a victim. It ain't have to be rape. Let it be that you get stopped by the police and you get shot down, or you walk around with a gun and you start shooting, and you think people are supposed to come to your defense. Because let me tell you, some of these cases lately, people say, "Oh, this speak up for the rights of this blah blah whoever," you know, driving with a gun, speeding, avoiding the police, shooting at police, and then people expect to rally. I'm not walking behind no damn Peachtree Road, walking up and down Peachtree Street, Peachtree Road, nowhere about protecting the lives of black men, saying about, oh, they got shot by the police and they innocent. No, no, no. Because the first thing I want to say is, what happened? What did they do? And then when the story comes out, it says, well, this person was a convicted felon, and they was driving in the car, and you driving, and you didn't stop, and you shooting out the window, and you carrying on and stuff, or you reaching to, you tell me how you tell me, oh, he's innocent, and you showing some picture from 10 years ago, and you looking like a thug. It's amazing how people always think that when something happens to men, particularly black men, regardless they may be wrong, they act like you're supposed to support them 1,000% and follow them, but then they don't turn around and they don't even protect women. They don't even protect black women. And I think that's what pisses me off the most. You don't want to protect the rights of women, and the fact that they get victimized, but then yet when something happens to a black man, they expect no more providing all the support, and you don't get the same support from your own black man, especially when it comes to areas of rape. Well, look what she got on. She had that on, and this was what, and she didn't do this. This wouldn't have happened. No means no. And now, you know what's so bad about this is that because the fact that a person who could go and do such things to over 100 something women in the last 50 something years, they're finally brought forth. Now, I'm not saying all men think the same way, But there's a lot of men that was featured in that documentary that was 2,000% supportive. But if you continue to feel that a man could rape a woman, and not just women, children, whatever, and they think they could get away with it, it's gonna be a whole lot of cutting, chop off somebody, come approach me, you're gonna get your dick cut off, and then I'm like, you're gonna get your eyes gouged out. So when people think you can't protect the rights of women and being raped, and even with children being raped, children be raped too. Pedophiles, and people don't believe the child that they did that, and then when the parent of that child finds out, and then they cut your ass, just like that woman up in Maryland, DC area, she going to prison because she out of anger, she nearly stabbed that dumbass husband of hers for raping those kids at the child care. But they said, well, you can't take matters in your own hands and do that. You need to call the police. Fuck the police about matters such that. If they don't, if these men, or these black men in particular, feel you're going to victimize people and think you're going to get away with it, you know what? Then there may be, by any means necessary, like Malcolm X said, that you'll protect yourself and deal with the court consequences later about why did you do it? I was victimized. I was protecting myself, and therefore I had to do what I had to do. And trust me, if you think you're gonna victimize women, you think you're gonna victimize people of being attacked, and then you're gonna shame them for what they done, and blame them, put them on trial. I'm fucking sick and tired of victims being put on trial for something that some man did, black man particularly, a rape, and think because you got money you could get away with it. And don't sit there and put, well, Evan Weinstein or whatever the hell his name is. Well, they didn't do nothing to him. That billionaire white man who was connected all the rape that he did, he's dead, got killed in prison. Then the assistant, who was the woman, had to, she gone to prison because they felt that, well, you had to know something about it, so she went to prison. And they said that the prince of whatever country in England, there was some connection of what he'd done. But because the fact that you work billions of dollars, you could cover it up, and you could cover the crime. So don't mix up people and lump them in all one case. Well, they didn't do nothing to so and so and so. They didn't do nothing to so and so. Obviously, it has nothing to do with color or your race of getting away with it. And yes, you could see Bill Cosby got away with it. But then I think recently when I came up to put the thumbnail on my for this discussion, I saw something about 2 weeks ago, California, that they could sue him, and then now the legal team of his defense saying he owes them $500,000 and he ain't paid, so he being sued. So please don't. So get off that damn. Leave Bill Cosby alone. Bill Cosby don't give a fuck about black folks, and you know that he didn't give a damn when he made the comment about black people. But y'all still sitting there, hey, leave him alone. He did nothing. You care less. And when we get to the understanding that we need to stop feeling that we need to defend people because of color, your skin color don't make you kin to everything. So people need to quit. People need to get off from that topic. Get off from it. Shoo. And people are trying to defend and justify, well, and on your justification is because of historical aspects of black folks in this country. We have a whole lot of things to be worried about than defending a bunch of people who I don't even give a damn, or who I will never meet, who I'll never speak to, and who got money, and we're not in the same economic class. You run around, defeat, free so and so and so, Well, free them. Why? Well, you didn't do nothing with Weinstein. That's not no reason. And no damn well he ain't innocent. Bill Cosby wasn't innocent. R. Kelly ain't innocent. Shoo. And when you and then and let me see. There was a whole lot of people, but Michael Jackson, they were saying he was doing something with the kids and stuff. I don't know. All I could tell you one thing. Michael Jackson mental stability of his upbringing. He was abused. Him and his brothers and sisters, they were abused by Joe Jackson. The way how he grew up and all those things, and you know, the plastic surgery, the changing of the nose, changing his color. You have to look at that. If you could do all those things to yourself, and someone that says, "Oh, he touched my son," and this and that, I don't know if he did or not, but I wouldn't say he did something totally egregious. But he probably had lost a sense of, you know, lost a sense of common sense that you still have a child, you still have a mind of a child, and you may do things what children do. You know, like children may play with each other. You know what I mean? And or may experiment, with this. So let me get your little thing and this. So if he had a mind of a child and he did that, oh, let me see what you got going on, and that made that, someone will look at that like you're a grown ass man. Why that's a little bit crossing the line of being a pedophile. But because of his mind, his state of mind, that may have happened, and then the parent or whatever may have said, well, he did this to my child. Now they may have tried to, really put it this way. They know they wasn't going to convict Michael Jackson. So if the parents brought a case about it, the lawyer's going to say, well, they're not going to convict him, but if we get him to settle, we'll get him millions of dollars. The lawyer is not looking after them. They just looking after themselves. They don't get 40%, 50%, no, 40%, 50% fees and everything else to pay all these other people, psychiatrists, doctors, and all these other people, investigators. And then the lawyer is looking out for money because they know that they're gonna settle out of court and simply settle out of court, and they're gonna get paid. They know that they're not gonna convict Michael Jackson. They knew they wasn't gonna convict him because they figured, okay, we gonna get money out of this. We're gonna get money out of this issue. But I'm not saying he's totally 100% innocent, but I'm saying his poor judgment of his mind, the infantile mind, and the fact of his upbringing, he lost a sense of judgment. He lost that sense of judgment. Now, I know this is not about Michael Jackson. I know the thing is about Bill Cosby. But one thing, the point I'm making is this. One thing is that was never seen to brought up was what was his mental mind, or what was his upbringing? What was it that caused him to do such thing? Because something for you to do for decades, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s, to do that to women, something was wrong with you mentally. And I wish that part was explored. Not he is a narcissist. That's what narcissists do. They don't believe they wrong, and therefore they don't do what they do. They don't think it's wrong. Okay, that's a psychological analysis of what narcissists do, but they didn't really that part of it. It didn't get deep down into the reasoning. So, anywho, I ain't nobody on here to discuss this. I guess this was another interesting topic. But if you catch the replay, please play it back watch the documentary on YouTube that was shown on Showtime. It's free. And it's a 4-part series. It's free to watch, and I'm glad that he brought it up. But it's all about his career throughout the years. But it does speak about, in general, about the culture or rape culture in the United States and how people were really more saddened by the culture, how it changed in terms of the black community. Because Bill Cosby did do a lot for black people. He did have very positive contributions for children, learning, empowerment. That was the best part of the documentary, the 4-part documentary. But unfortunately, that situation that happened, it happened. But I'm not going to sit here and say that that film or documentary convicted him or crucified him. It really brought more of a good light on him, except for that part of the aspect of the women coming forward. But we have to really think about the aspect of this culture, and it's not about black and white, but it's more to do with money and power. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm gonna make this last point, then I'm gonna go. If you was a poor, regular, middle class, don't have no money, and you don't have that influence like that, and that has happened, if someone did that, and you didn't have the money, and you didn't have the resources to hide it or not bring it to such attention, you wouldn't have that support either, and it wouldn't be such a big thing. So anyway, since nobody came on, but thank you for the 4 thumbs ups. You could leave a comment, but be disrespectful. Don't say nothing crazy. You could like, comment, and subscribe. But that's my take on it. So I'll talk to y'all later.